everybody. Happy Friday. This is Kay Thompson, a principal broker with Best Real Estate Company. I'm sure by now you all know who I am. And today my sidekick is back, my wonderful, wonderful sidekick, Shanita Johnson, also a broker here with Best Real Estate Company. And this is your Friday Focus.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, so today we thought of, I'm thinking all week actually about, not to say that Shanita isn't, but I'm thinking all week about things that I should bring to you on this Friday Focus. There is always a wealth of things that we could talk about. And so I want to kind of, the goal of this podcast is actually to help you learn some things that maybe you didn't know. Maybe hopefully inspire you to think a little bit differently about things that you're normally thinking one way about in terms of real estate in your business. And hopefully we inspire you guys to take some chances with your business, calculated guesses. Hopefully we can inspire more confidence for you in what you know as you talk to your clients. And hopefully we are bringing you things that you can use to bring value to your business and in the way that you present yourself and your business to the community. And so, like I said, I'm always looking for things. So is Shanita. She's an avid reader and listener like me. And so we always find, I always find that if I say to her, hey, I was thinking about talking about this, she tends to know something about it. Or maybe she was thinking in the same vein as me about certain things. And I have this book actually. It is a book that was written by a Memphian. And it actually, I'm sorry, I had to go and make sure I said the right name. His name is Dr. Edward C. London. And the book basically gives an entire, I don't want to say entire history, but it gives a very thorough history about housing, housing as it relates to the government. It talks about all sorts of things in the history of real estate for residential and how a lot of things came to be set up the way they are today. And the book is called Democracy in Housing, The Unending Quest or something for Home Equality. I'll put the actual proper name of the book in the email that I send out with the new link for today's episode. But in that book, it talked about trends and shifts, things from all the way from, it mentioned some discriminatory things, but it also talked about other things that affected cities on a large scale, like urban renewal and things like that. And I don't think a lot of people understand just how the impact that the idea of urban renewal had on communities that were often large communities and thriving communities. And the idea around urban renewal actually, the intent was good.
The execution.
The execution was a whole nother thing. I just think, and I just think that has kind of, that is one of the things in our history as it relates to real estate that has kind of shaped the ideals that people have around home ownership today.
Right.
And so in that, once you get used to looking at data and trends, and I strongly suggest that you guys do that, there is so much data out there that it is difficult, I know, to be able to figure out what data you actually want to use. And we all know that statistics, if you've ever taken a statistics course, one of the things they tell you is statistics can be skewed.
Right.
That they can be, they can be presented to show a positive outlook, or they can be presented to show a negative outlook. So really for us in real estate, I think the choice is for us to decide how we want to present that to our clients. And I would hope that everyone at Best Real Estate Company will want to present as positive an outlook as possible.
Right. And when it comes to reading data, big data, NAR does, I can say this, NAR does make it simple for us to read and understand data. On the nar.realtor website, there is a whole section. It's called Research and Statistics, and there are all kinds of charts and graphs that you can just plug in your market, and you can see the data based on that. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. So in digging around in this data, and I'll say not just the NAR data, but other data, you can look at financial news. There's been some talk about it in some of the the real estate circles that we move in. The Sheba report is another. You would have to get the Sheba report from NAREB, NAREB.com. But that report talks about the state of housing in Black America. However, it does make a lot of reference to national numbers.
Right.
And so
that's the comparison.
Yes, and so and oftentimes when it comes to activity, the activity that people are doing in the real estate market, it all lines up. So today we thought we would talk about gender and real estate in terms of our market for clients.
So the question is asked, who is buying real estate?
That's right. So if someone came to you and said, how's the market like? What segment do you think is doing the most work? We tend to think, because on commercials, especially if you see those R commercials, who we are. I love those commercials. They are so cheesy, but good in a good way. Who we are, the R commercials, and you may see some other like iBuyer commercials or what have you. Even if you see some investor commercials, we buy houses, we'll buy. I saw one the other day. We'll buy your house for cash. You don't have to do anything. Even those commercials, what you see is a picture of a family,
right, with
a father, a mother, and two kids, 2.5 kids. I mean, it's the typical right. what Americans have come to recognize as the typical traditional family.
Right.
And so if you just go by those videos and those commercials, you would think that is the largest buying segment of people in terms of home buying.
And you would think that you have to have that in order to buy a home, too.
Right. All hogwash.
Because the numbers don't lie.
The numbers don't lie. And I don't care what numbers you go to, NAREB, National Association of Realtors, Yahoo Finance, Housing Wire. I have been to the CFPB,
CNBC,
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, USDA. So I've searched all these places this week, and the numbers are the same. Let's see, who is the number one buying segment in our community, in our country?
In our country, it is women.
Women! And not just women, but single women. Single women. I don't care what race, I don't care what economic background they have, what their financial status is in terms of their income. You can look at the National Association of Realtors Home Affordability Index ranking and payroll job growth report. Actually, they have another one coming out mid-May, so they'll have these updated numbers. It takes them, a few years to put this report together, because they are looking at major metro areas in terms of home affordability. In 2019, Memphis was, what were we, Shanita?
67.
We were
I'm sorry, that was in 2014. In
Right.
2019, we were 83.
So we dropped on the list. We went from 67 to 83 in terms of affordable housing, that being available here in our market, in a way that we could adequately satisfy the demand. It's ironic that the number one place where there is affordability is Ohio. Ohio is, according to these numbers and these statistics, and specifically Youngstown, the Youngstown area, that is where they're saying right now is probably going to have the most. You'll have the best chance of getting what they consider affordable housing. So that's something to think about. All of that is in these reports. But let's go back to these women. So, just so you guys have an idea of how big the gap is between women, single women, and married families,
Yes,
is quite significant.
yes. So we're looking at, again, on the NAR.realtor website, in research and statistics, the information we're looking at, the report we're looking at, is the home buyers and sellers by metropolitan statistical area. There's a breakdown of home buyers by metropolitan statistical area and home sellers by MSA. So on both sides, looking at home buyers and the Memphis MSA, we see, got it? We see, let's tell the numbers.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to, where
So,
they actually talked about.
Okay.
No,
So
you beat me to it. Good job.
So in the Memphis MSA, which includes West Memphis, Arkansas, and North Mississippi, is included in the Memphis MSA. So the age of home buyers, and this is from 2022, the age range is 25 to 34, makes up 30% of home buyers are the age of 25 to 34. The gender is 64% women. Looking at households, you have, and I can't see it on this side.
I'm going to it. I'm going to it right now. And we are just talking about our market here now. We're coming down to very much a local level. And so, just so you guys know, Memphis is a part of what the Mid-South. The Mid-South is how they, and so they include Northwest Mississippi. A lot of times they'll just lump all the states together, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas, and they'll give us our numbers like that. So in Memphis, right now, I'll say Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. No matter what your ethnic group or racial group is, this is all Americans who live in these states. The average home buyer is 42 years old, and the average income is $90,840.
Right.
And this is what I think you wanted to see.
Yep. So the age breakdown, like I said, is 25 to 34. So those are that's 30% of the home buyers. Gender, 62% female. When we look at household type, it's 51% married couples, families. And then the women, single women, is 16.6%. That's the largest segment of single buyers.
And men are almost non-existent on here. I mean,
they're half that. Yep.
Yes, there was actually a fourth. It's a fourth.
4%. Yep.
A fourth of what women are doing, and so that brings me to this question: how and when? Like, I wish I had been paying more attention to this on the front end, so that I could see, and I probably will go and figure out where the trends are, but where this changed.
Yeah.
But there are some things that I could put out there that might attribute to it. So, for example, we know that now there are more women getting educated, advanced degrees than men. And
That's the next part of
and so there are more people, more men, well, more women getting educated. And it says that actually in our market,
it.
people who have
Associate's
associate's degrees are those people, the largest buying home, largest segment of home buyers, not bachelor's degrees, not graduate degrees, but people who have some college or associate's degrees are the people who are buying properties. Now, here's where I'm going to. The women, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, the women. And here's where I want to throw out something else. Where it says income, the largest segment of women buying property, their income is between $50,000 and $100,000. So that whole idea that people who don't make a certain amount can't afford to pay their agent, probably these people are working it out some kind of way, where they're able to do that. And obviously, single family detached homes are the homes that people are buying the most of. We have about 88% of people purchasing single family detached as compared to single family attached. Now, ironically, we see more people, a little bit of a larger percentage from 2022 of people who are buying apartment. Like buying an apartment or a condo, to living in, versus an attached single family residence. And we even have some people who bought manufactured housing on this.
And I think that the reason that number is low is because of West Arkansas, West Memphis, Arkansas.
Right.
That's a more rural area.
Right. Now, in our market, 73% of people, I mean, it's 72.8, but you might as well round it up. 73% of recent buyers finance their home purchase. So having this kind of information can help you to know who to target.
Right.
Who is buying houses? Women.
Right.
And that's where you put your marketing. Women.
Right. Or if you, on the flip side, when we talk about statistics, right? So we know that single women are the highest percentage of buyers versus when compared to two-parent homes, married couples. You have men. So if the numbers are low for men, that's an opportunity for
to improve that number.
So that can be your way. That can be your
market. And what you do is, I think I've said this before, I'll say it again because I know it's true. I'm going to say two things. One, this is a sales job. Selling real estate is a sales job.
Absolutely.
It is, you are selling yourself. You are selling the service you provide. You're not selling the house. The house sells itself.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just, you are not selling the house. I don't go into listings and tell people where the kitchen is. They can figure that out. I'm not going to point out the toilet to you.
Right.
If you don't know where the toilet is.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what to say.
Right.
So the house is going to sell itself. All you can do is prepare people to, present their home in the best possible way.
And help them navigate that.
Right. And we also know that people say they're visual, but they're really not. A lot of home buyers, especially someone who wants a turnkey or move-in ready situation, they're not going to be able to go in. Well, I don't want to say they're not going to be able to. They don't want to. They don't want to go in and see the potential.
Right.
So that is really our main job with the listing, is to make sure that our seller, we have those fiduciary duties. Let me not, because I don't want to confuse anybody.
Right.
Those fiduciary duties, we definitely have to do those. But what our main goal in helping to sell is making sure that it's priced right and making sure that the seller understands that he needs to present his or her home in the best possible way, so that people can easily see themselves having a life there.
Right.
And then after that, everything else is, up in the air.
Right.
But there is a reason that men are not buying homes. We're not gonna make this longer than our normal time, but we could have a whole conversation about that because of what we do in the community. We ask those questions and people tell us. I talked to a guy, one recent event we had at the church, let the church say amen. And that guy was like, well, I'm on a 10-year plan to buy a house. And I'm like, whoa, 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 why?
Why 10 years, yes.
And he had this off the wall story, which I will not go into, but I think a lot of times with young men is fear and there's no understanding. I think women, because we are the caregivers and the nurturers of the children, we are looking more about what our future needs to look like, and having stability for kids, where men may not necessarily always have that, that type of responsibility at the forefront of their mind. Not saying that they're not thinking about paying bills and things of that nature. It's just what the best thing for the kid is. Usually that woman is the dominant one. I would say, especially in my generation, they're usually the ones that's figuring out that part.
Right.
And so that is actually very true. We actually do need to do more to get more men engaged, because we all know that, owning real estate is a gateway to building financial freedom and wealth. And, so we want our men to partake in that.
And and when you mentioned that, because I as well talk to single men who don't own real estate, and I've heard two different narratives. One is, I'm working on me. I want to take care of myself, my health and all that. And I try to help them see that part of taking care of yourself is making sure you have stable housing, right? It's one thing to rent whatever, a place downtown and pay whatever. But I think it's important to also understand that while you are taking care of yourself, you can also take care of your home as well.
Right. Exactly.
Because you're essentially paying the same thing.
Right.
So.
And we also have to remember that with home ownership comes pride for the community. People are more vested. There's just a lot of benefits that we don't focus on for that may help move somebody in the right direction towards home ownership. And so the point of this today was to tell you who's buying in the markets. In case you didn't know, this is not only a Memphis, Northwest Mississippi, Northeastern Arkansas phenomenon. It is a national phenomenon. Women are out buying men in terms of homes.
Right. Every demographic.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the demographic. In terms of, like I said, financial, economic status, race, all of that is out the window. The numbers don't lie. The studies show the same thing. Women are killing it, and men have some catching up to do.
Yep.
So I would love to get a perspective from one of our best men about what they're doing to engage their brothers in the idea of becoming homeowners, because I know y'all know somebody that doesn't have a home.
And I think too, and this might be off topic a little bit, but I think too, not just selling the idea of a single family detached home, because one thing about Memphis, there is variety. There are townhomes, there are condos. So I think not just, I think sometimes when we talk to people about homes, we pitch that idea of the single family detached home with the yard and the fence and all of the things. I think if we open up the conversation about condos, about townhomes, about apartments, like
giving
you said,
people options,
right, and they can see those options. Especially if a man is already living in an apartment, you can own an apartment if that's your preferred living environment.
Right. And we need to keep in mind that in terms of financing, people can get creative with that too. I mean, for example, with FHA, You can buy 1 to 4 unit property. You can live in one apartment and rent out the other 3. Absolutely. Pay off your mortgage with somebody else's money. I mean, I'm just saying, that's just one option. And we all know, I know that most of the men that have been in my life are people they are men who like to take calculated, risks or chances to improve their financial picture. So if what you're saying about, them getting themselves together, I know for a lot of the men I know, when they say they're trying to get themselves together, that means they're trying to make more money.
Right.
So,
or their health, yeah.
Or either they're really sick and they're trying to get their health together, or they just trying to get their money right.
Right.
So, that is one way that we could lead into helping them to become homeowners. And I will tell you this: people that are waiting around for some big, new construction boom
or a recession,
stop it. I mean, stop it.
Yeah.
If you look at the data for that, in order for these builders to catch up to the demand of housing that we have, it would take literal decades. So stop it. Right. We really need to start showing people the value in the property that exists, right, and helping them to see how that could fit their needs. Mm-hmm. I watch this show. I don't think it comes on TV anymore. If y'all don't know this about me, I don't really watch regular TV. I watch documentaries, and then I watch, look, breaking news pops up as soon as while we're on here, but we'll talk about that next week. I'll let it stay breaking for now. But if you watch any of, I watch documentaries, and then I watch things where I can learn from. And I love watching housing shows. Well, with the exception of HGTV, I kind of don't like HGTV. I think it sets people up for the okie doke, and there's a lot of stuff missing, right, from a lot of those shows that people need to see in order to be able to make informed decisions. But there are some things like tiny house hunting. Mm-hmm. I love tiny house hunting because I'm a tiny house enthusiast. I love the whole idea and concept of that. One of the things on my bucket list is to be able to get in my little tiny house on wheels and travel across the country to all the national parks. So, but yes, I've always been into like national parks. I just think they're great. Anyway, the point I was making is a lot of times on the tiny house hunting show, and you can watch it on YouTube if you don't have Roku or something. Those people are looking for a tiny home. In their mind, they have set up an idea of what the tiny home is, and usually they have to, explain to them, what that really means in terms of square footage and all of that. It also blows my mind that tiny houses can cost just as much as a traditional single family home. But what I love about it is a lot of times people on that show wind up picking the thing that they hadn't thought about.
Right.
The value in it is that the agents go out and find these things based on what these people say. So it shows that they have a listening skill, and it shows that they're really looking to solve the problem. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, those people on that show do not buy the thing that they thought they were going to buy. They wind up buying the thing that the agent said, because the agent did enough homework and had enough access to data to show them how a different property could best fit their needs. And that's what we need to be doing with these people. So those are your 2 segments that you need to be working with now. Single women, because they're already buying, they obviously have the money, right? And single men who just don't have any idea clearly of where to go. So go out and find a buyer that's a woman and a man, and then tell us how you guys fared with that. Let us know.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so that's all we have today. We have just a few seconds before this recording cuts out. So we want to thank you so much for joining us. Remember to share any ideas that you have that you may want us to speak about. I'm so happy to have my Shanita back here with me. She had a lot of things going on the last 2 weeks, but I think it's kind of settling down for her. And don't forget to join us for our 5K tomorrow.
8 a.m.
8 a.m.